Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about doing some comparison between the Carnivore Autoimmune Protocol and a typical autoimmune protocol and what the differences are. For you that have just joined me, my name is Jessica. I started my carnivore journey back in July, and I switched to a Carnivore Autoimmune Protocol to help stay off of hypothyroid medication. I had tests done, and it was just a way for me to be able to stay off medication. So I'll explain that a little bit more as we dig into what is the difference. Both Carnivore Autoimmune Protocol and the typical autoimmune protocol have the same goal in mind. It's to reduce inflammation. Now, the differences between them can be considered night and day. I consider one more simple than the other. So let's get started with the Carnivore Autoimmune Protocol. So the major thing I liked about doing the Carnivore Autoimmune Protocol was its simplicity. It is eating meat-based. And it was simple to explain. And I can sit there and say, no, I'm only eating meat and salts, and that was pretty much it, along with water. Also, since it was meat-based and I'm eating all kinds of different animal meats, it had more dense nutrition available than the other autoimmune protocol. And also had the potential to improve digestion. Now, some of the cons with the Carnivore Autoimmune Protocol is the fact that there is limitation. If you are the type of person that loves fruits and vegetables, you would have a harder time with the Carnivore Autoimmune Protocol. I myself don't crave those, so it was actually easier for me. And then socially, it is more complicated, especially when there's on any of the autoimmune protocols, you can't have so many seasonings and nightshades, and you introduce those at a later time. So that makes it more difficult to follow either one of the autoimmune protocols as well. Now, the typical autoimmune protocol has the advantages of that is that it has a wider range of fruits and vegetables. So that was one of the things that was much easier for me to just say no fruits and vegetables versus trying to figure out what fruits and vegetables were okay and what fruits and vegetables weren't. So that is another reason I never actually went and followed a paleo diet, is because there were too many restrictions and too many rules of what you could and couldn't eat. And I was already on keto, and that was so much easier for me to follow. But that is one of the things with the typical autoimmune protocol, that you are able to have more fruits and more vegetables. You just have to be careful on which ones you are consuming. And it's harder to explain to people why you can have one type of fruit and vegetable, why you can't have another. And you get asked a lot more questions versus I'm eliminating all of them. So another thing with the autoimmune protocol diet, you may still have some food sensitivities and have some triggers that are on that safe food list. And I wanted to eliminate that altogether. So on either one, there are two different phases. There is an elimination phase where you're eliminating all the foods. And then there's a reintroduction phase. Majority of the time, most people will do an autoimmune protocol for a period of 1 month. My doctor recommended I do 3 to 6 months. I chose the 3 because I knew I could stick to it a lot easier for 3 months than 6 months. So the first phase is elimination, going through eliminating all those foods, which when I went carnivore, I eliminated a good portion of the foods I would have needed to. So when I went and switched to autoimmune protocol, I really just needed to eliminate the dairy and the So it was dairy and eggs I had to eliminate. And then I was having some electrolyte packets that had stevia in them. I had to eliminate those because I had to eliminate all sugars and sugar substitutes. So those are the things that are the same for both of those diets. Another thing I want to make sure, both of these are diets. They are not something that's long-term, and that's part of the reason there is a reintroduction phase. And during that reintroduction phase, you can choose one food, not one category, one food for every 7 to 10 days that you introduce, and then see if you have any types of reactions to that food. If you have a reaction, you eliminate that food for a longer period of time and introduce something else. So it is a slow process, which can make it more challenging. But if you're willing to stick with it, and if you can do it even for 30 days and then start reintroducing foods one at a time, that is going to help you be able to identify your triggers. And that's also why I decided to do the Carnivore Autoimmune Protocol, because there are too many other factors in just following the regular autoimmune protocol, or even the autoimmune paleo protocol. There's too many other foods that I'm not sure if I would have intolerances to or not. So that was my reason. It was very simple to be able to explain to people what I was doing. I was doing a strict elimination diet, and most people, when they knew that it was just for a limited amount of time, and that I was going to be able to reintroduce one food, they're like, that's going to take a long time. That takes some strong willpower. Yes, it does. But I have already found, like, I have a reaction. If something doesn't agree with me, I have a reaction within a few hours to a few days, as long as I'm paying attention to those signs. And it's going to be easier to be able to identify what foods I need to stay away from, or at least temporarily, if not permanently. So in conclusion, I just want to remind you, there is not a one-size-fits-all diet, meal, or plan. But these are some great options to help you identify what foods may or may not be triggers for you. Both of these diets also give a unique way of eliminating and reintroducing to help you find out what foods trigger you versus being generalized. You're able to narrow down what foods trigger you the best.